Are you tired of hearing people complain about the world and ready to own the responsibility to make the world a better place? Hey, my name is Brent Simpson, and welcome to this episode of Creating the Future. I believe that within each of us is a yearning to make the world a better place. So let's work together and make that desire a reality. My hope is that today's conversation inspires you as you endeavor to create the future. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Creating the Future. Today we get to have a very special conversation today with Keren Emmanuel. He's the student ministries pastor here at Arise Church. And last week he led a great devotion with our staff that I thought was worthy of bringing onto this podcast because I think it affects every one of us in one way or another. If you lead anything, if you lead a large corporation or you're just leading your family, then it's going to take some integrity that we all need. And in the recent past, really since the television came out and you started having TV preachers, you started having moral failures within pastors and people that you look up to and you think they're not supposed to struggle with these things. You find out not only are they struggling, but they've succumbed to it. Going back to Jimmy Swaggart and Jim Baker and some of those. And you start to create this celebrity pastor mindset where you put these people on a really high esteem. And recently there's been issues with John Gray. And then most recently, and this is what Pastor Keren was talking about last week, was Carl Lentz of Hillsong, New York. And let's just start there for a second. So Pastor Carl kind of had an impact on your life and you kind of looked up to him.
Yeah, man. From the beginning, when I first got into ministry, I fell in love with the idea of being, cool, hip, whatnot. Like, that's good. Yeah, everything, which is not wrong. And so there was a moment where this particular Pastor Carl Lentz spoke to me, and man, it changed me. Like, especially at the moment I was at, because we all have moments where we need that jolt, and it was that. I was in a crowd, and it was like 100 and something youth pastors, and I was literally like probably the most unlooking youth minister guy ever. Like, I had baggy clothes, Like, I didn't have that like pretty boy look. I had baggy clothes. I had a hoodie on, and I was just kind of chilling. Yeah. And he called my name out and prophesied some things over me, which came to be really who I was and what God had want for me. And so, that when I heard the news, honestly, it jacked me up. Yeah. He was up there for me. And not to say that he's not, but there's a different view now, bro. It's like, it's up.
Yeah, and it's shaking when somebody like that falls, whoever the leader is. Again, it could be you're leading your parent and your mom or your dad has an affair. Mm-hmm. As a parent,
absolutely.
You have an affair. Now you're affecting anybody who follows them, that looks up to them, you're affecting. And all of us have these followers. And I think we have to be really, really clear with this. I'm in a deep dive right now with leadership because I'm working on my doctorate program. And I'm finding that in every single leadership theory, one of the core tenets, one of the characteristics of every great leader is integrity. And if you don't have integrity, you can end up losing everything. And it doesn't matter if you're in the Christian world or in the secular world. Without integrity, it eventually starts to fall around you and you don't make it. There's a phrase I use a lot when I sign my name. You've probably seen it. It's esse quam videre, which is Latin for to be rather than to appear.
Wow.
To be rather than to appear. And I think, so I'm in the church world, you're in the church world. Many of you watching this are, some of you aren't. Either way, there's a notion for us nowadays. There's a temptation for us nowadays with social media and online platforms to appear one way and put out this really cool vibe. You were just talking about that, putting out this like really cool, I look the part, I am the part, all this, because you can get away with that, but you might not be what you're appearing to be.
Right.
And I would rather be what I'm appearing to be. I don't want to appear to be something to find out I'm not really that behind the scenes. It's that character, it's that integrity. And so let's talk a minute about that. Like, how's that for you?
Well, so it's like you said, you want to show people the best part of you, the best version of you. And Instagram, Facebook, that's the best for that. You can show people the best part of you. And a thing that a lot of people struggle with is this idea of identity, right? We want to be the best versions of ourselves. And so, whenever our identities change, that's when our integrity starts to shift too. And so, man, it's so easy to put on the right clothes, to say the right thing, to do all the right stuff.
Anybody can read off a teleprompter.
Anybody can read off a teleprompter.
And social media becomes a teleprompter because you get to plan what you're going to put out.
Absolutely.
Some people are going to spend 30 minutes articulating everything they're going to say,
because you can
making the picture exactly right, take 15 selfies to get the perfect selfie.
You can
and you end up creating an image that's not real.
And that's the problem. I think we need to get to a place where we're okay. We're okay. I love we're okay. Yeah. Just who we are. Just got to keep moving forward and stop putting these filters on. And there's this overwhelming wave of people being afraid of who they actually are.
Right.
And that's where you get in trouble. And that's one of the things that I want to make sure I have the right people and have the right things around my situation so that I can, if I start to act like someone else, someone can bump me back up. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that's so good. So I think, there's an old leadership proverb that says, fake it until you make it, right? Many of you have heard that in the business world. You're watching this or listening to this and you've heard, fake it till you make it. Well, there's some truth to that because you got to put up an appearance to an extent, but you have got to bring the character along behind it. You can't, put out your company as one thing and show how great it is online. And then somebody actually uses your company and it's horrible. That won't last for any longer than the marketing right there. Right. Word of mouth marketing is still the best because word of mouth is people that have actually known what it really is. They have no skin in the game. They're not going to lie about what your company really is. And so you can't fake it till you make it for long. You can do that in the beginning. You can do that a little bit, but you can't do it for long. And like in our world, we talk about being a man of God. I don't want to appear to be a man of God. I don't want to be a celebrity. I want to be a man of God, right? If you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, you don't want to appear to be a plumber. You don't want to just have a license and have the t-shirt and the truck. You actually want to be a really good plumber, a really good electrician that gets the job done and gets it done right. So with that being said, how do you align yourself? We're in the church world, so it's slightly different, but even in the church world. So how do you align yourself and make sure that you don't wander to the right or left and that you stay straight? Like Carl Lentz, this is not about Carl Lentz, but how would a Carl Lentz or a John Gray or a Perry Noble or some of these guys who've struggled recently, how would those guys line up and keep from veering off to the right or left?
Yeah. So regardless of where you're from, I think this principle applies, whether what context, business world, leadership world, Christian world, check your circle.
Yeah.
Check your circle. That old leadership or really phrase, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah.
But here's to dig even deeper. Sometimes we don't allow our circle to check us. You know what I'm saying? So we can have the right people around us, but we're not, hey, pour into me, check me, whatnot. And so it's so important who you're around and then giving them the doorway to say, hey, get a voice inside of my head, inside of my character, whenever you start to see me go here and now, because that is super, super vital, especially in this time.
That's so good. I love that. So we don't become the emperor with no clothes on.
Exactly.
For you guys who've never heard that, I'm sure most of you have, but if you never heard the emperor with no clothes on parable, it's an emperor that some magician comes in and convinces the emperor that he's naked, convinces the emperor that he has clothes on when he's naked. And so this emperor actually is completely buck naked, but this magician convinces him that he has clothes on anyway, and they go through the streets in a parade, and he's buck naked, but because he's the emperor, everybody's scared to death of him. Everybody's scared to death to actually say, you don't have any clothes on. So he's going through the parade buck naked, and there's a kid that comes out that basically looks at him and says, you have no clothes on, right? So you end up as the emperor with no clothes on. What happens sometimes is in leadership, we set ourselves on a pedestal. Other people put us on a pedestal as well. We end up here. And so nobody wants to tell us the truth. And that's a dangerous place to be. And in some regards, we're taught not to listen to everybody. If Tom Brady throws an interception on Sunday, he can't listen to the 40,000, 50,000. Well, I guess now it's 15,000 people in the stadium, whatever, because of COVID. But he can't listen to the fans. That would make no sense. So you can't listen to everybody in leadership. But I think what you're saying is we have to have some people. A circle of three. That's the thing that we kind of coined years ago. We have to have some people that are close enough that can be raw and real with you, that you can be honest about your own struggles, that can keep you in alignment. And that's not just in the church world. Anybody needs that kind of person. If you're a mom, a housewife at home, you need that to keep your mind from wandering, and you end up having an affair, end up doing something crazy or whatever. You need that circle around you, right?
Yeah, because proximity really helps gauge what's in front of somebody. So if you're too far from me, you can't see the blemishes, the faults, all that stuff. So that's why it's so important to have people who are close. Yeah. And you need to have friends that don't tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear. So that's why parents are so important, because parents will always tell you what you need to hear. They don't care what you want. No, you need this.
Good ones, yeah.
So exactly, good parents. True. But having the right friend to tell you what you need to hear, even though what you need to hear may be hurtful, may be pride stripping, maybe all these things that are there to benefit you. Those are super important. Again, check your circle, but make sure your circle can check you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you need accountability. Like, I don't care who you are, you need accountability, people that's going to hold you accountable to the standards that you set inside your life. And so fight for that accountability. Keep those people around you, even when they irritate you, because they're going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you what you want, what you don't want to hear sometimes. Because the truth is always, like we joke about this sometimes, but the truth is always, you're not as bad as you think you are or as good as you think you are. Both of those extremes are negative, right? If you start thinking you're just the worst person in the world, that becomes depressing, and that's a negative thing, obviously. But it's also negative when you start thinking more highly of yourself than you ought, and that's where leaders usually fall.
Right.
True humility is not thinking highly of yourself or thinking lowly of yourself. True humility is thinking rightly of yourself. And so let's be people that are humble, that are thinking correctly about ourselves. So we get a circle around us, and then you were talking a little bit too about fighting it, right? So you got to attack issues inside your life. You can't let them lay dormant in your life. So talk about that.
Yeah. So we can't be passive about these things, and so there are certain issues. And let's use the example of a marriage couple, and then so you're a male, female, and then someone of the opposite sex is showing you attention. You have to fight that, and in practical ways, don't be around that person. Cut off the inappropriate talks, and do things to make sure that you're actively fighting against those things that are coming against you. And the problem is we become passive, and then when we get too passive, we succumb to the pressure. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so it's like, I got it, and then all of a sudden you don't have it. So fight. Be angry about it. Be combative. The word we like to use. Be active so that nothing can come against what really you're trying to build in your leadership business or in your moral integrity as a leader.
Yeah. I think like this is going to be a provocative statement, but take this to heart. This is powerful. Get this. Listen, lean in right now. I'm about to say something that's good. The moral failure that will destroy your life, you already know what it is.
That's true.
Let that sink in. You know your temptations, right? So I'm not tempted to gamble. Right. That's not a thing for me. Like I could walk through a casino, I'm just not tempted to gamble. Meanwhile, I know other people who, man, I know a guy that would disappear for 4 or 5 days at a time. His wife and family scared to death because he would be off in Biloxi, Mississippi or Las Vegas or something and just disappear and come back with no money and nothing and all this. And that's like the stronghold for him. That's not my stronghold. That's not my sin. That's not my problem. That's not my moral failure. But I know what mine is. Keren, you know what yours is? You know what yours is?
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. So you have to attack that thing before it attacks you.
Sheesh.
You have to go after it. And that's through accountability. It's through partnership. It's through, not feeding that thing because anything you feed gets bigger. But you have to attack that thing or either it will attack you and it'll destroy you. It'll destroy you. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Just want to add, the importance of watching yourself.
Yeah.
Guarding yourself. Here's the thing, leading yourself. We often want to lead others, but we don't want to lead ourselves. The most important leader you could ever lead is you. So make sure you're leading yourself well. And then there is an ample amount of resources, people that are willing to help, able to help. Read a book, watch this podcast. Hello. Quick plug, whatever, all these things to help you grow in your leadership so that you can make sure you're avoiding these things.
That's so good. All right. I'll end with this note. So this title of this podcast is Creating the Future, and we're all creating the future at all times. Here's the thing about these moral failures with a Carl Lentz or a John Gray or a Perry Noble or a Jimmy Swaggart or Jim Baker or whoever. And it goes well beyond that. It could be business leaders. We just had a guy who was running for governor recently that has gotten some big trouble here in the state of Florida. You are creating the future, but your moral failures can bring down all the things you create in an instant. Right. So you just mentioned we're not meaning to beat up Carl Lentz, but you just mentioned you held him in very high esteem. All of a sudden now this happens and you don't hold him in that high esteem. It's not like you don't care about him or anything like that.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
But part of what he was able to build has now been torn down by a moral failure. Listen, here's the thing. You can't let that happen. If we're going to create the future together, if we're going to make the world a better place, we have to be people that aren't having the failures that bring us back down, that bring everything we've created back down. And so keep building up, not tearing down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining this episode. Like I say, it's a little unique. I thought it was a pertinent conversation. No matter what you lead, no matter where you are, integrity has to be the backbone that keeps you moving forward. So lean into integrity. Recognize that the sin that's going to bring you down, you already know what that's going to be, and so be aggressive and fight against it. Look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.
See you guys.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation today, and I especially hope it added value to you. If you enjoyed it, would you do me a favor and give us a 5-star rating on your podcast provider? It really helps to get the word out. And of course, if you share this content with your friends, that would be great too. And until next time, I hope you continue creating a better future. I look forward to being with you again soon.